Right, so this is a question on Bayes' theorem, and the question is there's a school which offers two subjects. The first subject is French, and the second subject is computer science. Only these two subjects. And we are told that 65% of all students, they take only French, which means they study nothing else, just French. And 15% of the students, they study both. And what we're being asked is that given that a student studies French, what's the probability that she also studies computer science, right? So that's the question that we have to answer, right? So now, my first instinct obviously is always to draw a Venn diagram, right? So let's draw a Venn diagram because a picture always helps understand what's happening. So let's suppose this is a set of students, and some of them study computer science. So this is the set of students who study computer science, and then there is a set of students who study French, right? Now, I'm not going to just solve the question for you. What we're going to do is we're going to solve it together. So which means that every now and then I will ask a question, and then I will stop talking for 5 seconds. And in those 5 seconds, you can write down your answer on a piece of paper to the question that was just asked. So, and if you need more time, then you can just pause the video and take as long as you want. So I'm going to ask a question, and my first question is, so let me just section out an area. Right, so my first question is, on this Venn diagram, which area represents the students who study both computer science and French, and which area represents students who study only French? So the two things we are given, where are they on the Venn diagram? So take your 5 seconds and then I'll resume. Right, so let's see the Venn diagram. So the students who study both, they are at the intersection of these two sets, right? So this area, this white area over here, this would be the students who study both. And this blue area, so I'm just going to start shading, this one over here, these are all the students who study only French, nothing else, right? So this whole circle is all the students who study French, but there are some who also study computer science, and we are not counting them. We're just counting the ones who study only French, and this we are told is 65%, and the ones who study both is 15%. So that's what we are told, right? So how many students study French? So this is my second question. How many students study French? What percentage, right? So that's my second question. Well, that was easy. So the number of students who study French is simply the blue area plus the white area, right? So that's going to be 65% plus 15%, and that turns out to be 80%, right? So we figured out something from the Venn diagram, right? So we've got a value. So this 80% means that let me just switch back to white. So what does this 80% mean? This means that the probability of a student studying French is 80%, which we can also write as 0.8, right? So we've figured out something new by seeing the Venn diagram. Now, what is the probability that we are being asked, right? So we're being asked to find the probability of a student studying computer science given that she's already studying French. So what's the probability expression for that going to look like? Well, let's define two events. So C is the event that a student studies computer science, and F is the event that the student studies French. So given these two events, and this is my third question to you, what is the probability expression, right? And I'll give you four choices, so you can just pick from them. So the first choice is that the probability we are being asked is probability of C. Second, we are being asked what probability of F is. Let me scroll down. Third, it's F given C, or fourth, probability of C given F. So which one of these four probabilities is that which we have to find? So in the next 5 seconds. Right, so what are we being asked? Well, we are being asked to find the probability of a student studying computer science given that she's already studying French. So this last choice, this is the probability expression that we have to find. So what are we being asked to find? We are being asked to find what is the probability of C given F, right? So let me come back to white. And what is this equal to? Well, this from Bayes' theorem is equal to probability of C and F divided by probability of F. So this comes straight from Bayes' theorem, right? Now, do we know everything on the right hand side to calculate this value? Well, turns out we do, right? So we know that 15% of the students study both computer science and French. So the probability of a student studying both subjects is, well, 15%. And what's the probability of student studies French? Well, that we found out over here, that we found out was 80%. So 80% of the students study French. That includes students who study just French, and that includes students who study both. So the probability of a student studying French is 80%. Now we can write this as 0.15 divided by 0.8, and this, if you simplify, turns out to be 3 by 16. So the answer to our question, what's the probability that a student studying French, also studies computer science, is 3 by 16. So that was the question, and that's how it's done.